Testing. Okay, it's definitely this mic. Let's see here. Oh, sweet lordy. My phone. Alrighty. It's been a hot minute since I've been able to do this. Let's see if I can get this all nice and situated. OBS seems to look like it's doing good. YouTube's doing good. In the flesh, I mean, I could be one of those AI that you're seen recently. You know, I could be one of those AI, YouTubers floating around here for all you know. So I could be in the proverbial coding, not the flesh. How's it going, Matt? Matthias? Looks like I've got it all. Perfect. Okay, I got that up and running. Hello, hello. Let me try and route my Discord up to see if they want to watch in on the fun times as I explain what's been going on and as I show off what I've been able to work on in the past little while here. Send now. LOL, it's good. Looking forward to the stream. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna be showing off. I'm gonna be showing off my TTRPG. I'm gonna be showing off the adventures I've been writing, and I'll be explaining my absence in the YouTube sphere because unfortunately I have been incredibly inconsistent, which totally sucks. But I am fixing to change that in the next week or two here. I just keep on having life getting in my frickin' way, and it frickin' sucks. Let me just see here. Slay the beast. Got that. Got that. Look at that. I'm giving a little preview of what I'm about to show off here. Alrighty. What else am I cooking up here? I have... Okay, that's all nice and situated there. Alright, alright. Now, do I have the music on the side? Can I make music from this? Is that working? Let's take a look. Can I do it? Is that possible here? Trying to remember everything of my YouTubing life is tough because when you step away from it for a little bit, all of a sudden you hop back in, and it's like riding a bike, but you will scrape your feet on the ground a bit, trying to get the ball rolling here. Let's see if that works. Alrighty, let's see if this works. Let's see if that works. think I might turn it down just a little bit here. Alrighty, he returns. I do return. How's it going, Caliber? Gabe. If need be, I can turn it down, but I'll turn it down later. OBS doesn't make it easier on you. Yeah, OBS is definitely like, oh man, it's great that it's free, but you definitely have to learn a little bit. You gotta, and like the user interface isn't the most clean, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. Alrighty. So, let me divulge upon you all what's been going on. 3 real quick reasons as to why I haven't been able to upload any YouTube videos, or I haven't been able to run any games in the Discord. Which, for those of you that don't know, I run a bunch of games in the Discord, or I used to anyway. The reason why, the 3 quick reasons why, is personal medical issues. I have been severely jacked up recently, and that has been absolutely terrible for me. I've had a death in the family, and it's caused a whole bunch of ripples and a whole bunch of stuff that I've had to deal with, clean, and, you know, just have to all around get my hands on with. And third is also jobs in life and money getting in the way. So with those 3 compounding on top of each other, it's just been an absolute clown fiesta. Been trying to get back to it. It sucks because I didn't have any set schedule. Like, I couldn't have a schedule, and that's why I couldn't post any games, and that's why I couldn't really get any YouTube videos done, is because, you know, it's tough to sit there. You know, if I make a 10-minute YouTube video, that is several hours of my life right there, right? Like, it is very much so. If I make a 30-minute video, then it's, you know, even that many more hours. So it's been impossible, really, for me to be able to do that. Of course, on YouTube, I can just post up the polls and react to them on my phone. Like, that's incredibly simple to do, which I've been trying to get back into. I've been posting up a bunch of those polls to interact with the community and whatnot. But what I have been able to do is, because it's very simple to sit down and write for a couple of minutes and then step away from, is been working on my tabletop role-playing system and working on my adventures. So today I want to show off my tabletop role-playing system, and I want to show off my adventure to give a highlight of what I've been working on, and hopefully I can get to start running this for the community, for all of you guys, because I want to run this stuff, I want to show it off, and I want to get people involved in the endeavors there. So, before I start diving into my tabletop role-playing system, how have y'all's gaming lives been going? Have you been able to get in some good games? You DMing? You playing homebrew? You playing in a pre-made module? What's going on in life here? I wants to know. I wants to know. I wanna soak in all the TTRPG glory here. I want to see what everyone's been getting up to. And also, someone just joined the Discord there. Look at that. Doing homebrew and a player in Curse of Strahd. Let's go. It's funny, I've both played and ran Curse of Strahd. I've only played through it once as a player, but then I've ran it multiple times. But next time I run it, I do want to run it using either my own TTRPG system or another system besides 5e, because I would love to see the world therein impacted. What's the name of my TTRPG? It is up here on over my shoulder here. It is Make Believe. It is a fairy tale based TTRPG. And what you're staring at right now is the Player's Tome. So if I actually move myself here, if I can get around and move myself, here we go. Boop. This is the Player's Tome. And I will be going through it momentarily here, showing off what I've got cooked up for this system. My DM has been on a Shadow Dark kick lately. Super fun so far. Shadow Dark is just nice and simple to get into the game. You're not stressing on your build. You're not really stressing on, a whole bunch of the complex maths there. You're just hopping into the game, having a grand old time. I totally dig it. I think Shadow Dark really, really is a great bridge for people to expand out from 5e. Because I know a lot of people hop into the TTRPG world through 5e and are unwilling to expand out because either they've got, they fear learning more, or they have a sunk cost fallacy and want to keep on chugging along with 5e, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they have some preconceived notions about other TTRPGs, but ultimately I think Shadow Dark is a great way to be like, okay, gang, here's a quick synopsis. 5e is the complex TTRPG system. If you want uber complex, go play Pathfinder. But if you want simpler, here's Shadow Dark, and it's, then you can be like, oh, hey, if you want this different type of tone, feel, vibe, and setting, we can play this other system. We can do here, we can do that. So I'm very thankful that Shadow Dark has pried open the pearly gates of the TTRPG Mount Rushmore, and not just showing that, showing off more that there is to show off. Alrighty, so to give you a quick little showcasing here of Make Believe, it is a fairy tale themed TTRPG. This, what you're looking at right here, is a fully fledged product. What you're staying at right now is something that I have spent a lot of hours on. And look at that. There is 184 pages of content here. Maybe 185. Actually, let me tell. And also, I'm going to be showing off here is every single page is hyperlinked, so you can quickly just click on a page. Boop. Is there a page after that? No. Oh yeah. Because all the spell pages take up 2-page spread. Alrighty, so I have 185 pages just for the core rules, and then I've got a DM's tome, and then I'm gonna have a monsters, and so on and so forth. So this is what I've been working on here. Really craving some 5e games. Just got the hardcore book a couple months ago, and really want to run a game. So I've ran 5e hardcore. And it's very much so you are showing off, I think, more exemplary, like, what makes characters cool. Because if you run a game where it's like 3d6 down the line and everyone's got a +0 or +1 to all their stats, then when they show off their abilities, it's way cooler and it's way more impactful. Because, for example, being if you've got a fighter with a +0 to their strength and like the +0 to dex, so they're just whatever you make them as a fighter, it's very much so much more impactful when they get their abilities that let them do more damage or attack more often. So great stuff. Whoa, the beast class is calling my name. Dreamweaver 2 looks lit too. Yeah, so I'll be showing all that off momentarily here. So what is this system? This system is a OSR style system, and the premise therein is that your classes are for a quick little showcasing here. There is no subclasses for the system. Every class is the class they're in, and we'll be showing off what makes the classes unique and special. Currently in the game, I've got 26 classes. And each of them, I would like to imagine, stands out completely on their own. They very much so are representative of a style of play. And also, very importantly, is even if you have multiple people playing the same class, depending on your alignment will affect your play style. So, I have thought for a long time, I really like alignment. However, I don't like modern D&D's alignment. Why? because modern D&D's alignment doesn't do anything. And also, very importantly, is it doesn't do anything mechanically, but more often than not, we hear the horror stories of players playing badly because, oh, that's what my character would do. And obviously that leads to terrible play. And also another portion of terrible play is a player wants to do something with their character, but then the DM tells the player, oh, hey, because your character is this alignment, they cannot do that. I think that's also terrible play. So what I ended up resolving myself with is, in this system, your alignment changes depending on your actions. If you do heroic and good things, then your alignment goes up and you become good. If you do wicked things, bad things, then your alignment goes down. Also, I'm getting a call. Oh, no. I'm going to have to assist with a function in a minute. It shouldn't take longer than a few minutes to assist them in their endeavors, though. So alignment, I very much so want to be impactful. So let's go down, and once again, this entire whole book is hyperlinked. Not only is this table of contents hyperlinked, but if we click on, let's go to alignment here, click on that. There is, on every single page, there is this book here at the top, and if you click on that, it takes you back to the table of contents. So if you're using the PDF, you can zip all around. I click on the Red Hood, boom, and then I click back, easy peasy. Great stuff. So with alignment is a very simple system. It goes all the way from +10 to -10, and you start off at 0. If you do good things, your score goes up. You do bad things, your score goes down. And it's reflective of how you play your character. If you play as a goody two-shoes the whole time, then you're going to go up. You play as someone who does, wicked things, your alignment's going to go down. It's that simple. It is that simple. Nah, roll a d20 for helping. So, I will, as I have to go out to help someone real quick, I'll try and find, I'll find, boom. I'll let your eyes feast on this page real quick for random character generation here as I go to help someone. I'll be back in a moment. All right, let's see. Alrighty, so the audio stream's current bitrate is 0, is lower than the recommended bit rate. I don't freaking understand streaming at all. I really don't. I really don't get it. Alrighty. You're coming through fine. Okay, that's good. Alrighty, so the core, but what is a hedge folk? Yeah, I will show that off momentarily here. So, your character is made up of the following: your origin, which is your race, your species, your whatever the heck you want to call it. We got your humans, your elf, your egg child, your hedge folk, your rootkin, etc., etc. Your background. Your background is who you were before you were an adventurer. So you could have been a blacksmith, a gardener, a noble, a thief, etc., etc. Then you've got your class. Your class is who you are now. You could be a beast, a hunter, a soldier, a warden, etc., etc. And lastly, you've got a fate. Your fate is what you're destined to be. So I'll be showing off what that all means right now. Starting off with origin. Your origins are your species and etc., etc. You have folk, which are animal kin. Child are human-like people ensorcelled by something magical. And kin are human-like people ensorcelled by the elements. So, you've got a cat folk, and folk are animal. Then you got a clay child. Child is ensorcelled by something magical. And then you got a coral kin, ensorcelled by the elements. Coral is the elemental, right? And all of these give you the following. They give you a stat up. They give you a trait. And they potentially change your alignment. They potentially change your health. So pretty simple. If you are a dwarf, cool beans, you got a +1 to strength. Your trait. You gain resistance to poison and upper hand on checks to resist exhaustion. You get a +1 or -1 to your alignment, your choice. And then you also get a +2 to your maximum health. Cool stuff. And then showing off the human, because the human is the quintessential, what everyone builds around here is. The human gets a +1 to any 2 core stats. Once per week, you can reroll any failed roll. Your alignment gets no adjustment. And your health gets a +1 to maximum health. Yippee. Been running games on Virtual Tabletop with maps scraped from games like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate 2, and Fallout. Those assets are much better than anything I make. Not sure if I can run paper games anymore. It's tough to run paper games after you get the delicacy of running virtually because of the dice rolling, just quick resolutions, and pouring out all these like handouts and maps and all that in a digital space is just so great versus having to do it in person. I completely understand. There is, something magical about doing it in person, though. There's certain things you can do in person that you can't do online, but ultimately, online has so many fantastic benefits. It's real tough. It's real tough. So showing off here, your hedge folk question. Hedge folk, they get a +1 to strength. They get a +1 to DR. What is DR? I'll go over that later. -1 to alignment. In their lore, ardent defenders of their domain, hedgefolk inspire others in their stout stalwartness. They let others know when they are perturbed. Hedgefolk are essentially hedgehogs, but they're people. As you might note, I don't have any art, but that's because I'm poor and haven't contacted anybody to do my art yet. But when I go to get this thing kickstarted, I absolutely will. Next up, backgrounds. Your backgrounds also give you a +2 to a stat. They give you a feature. They potentially change your alignment. And they also potentially change your health as well. So if you're an apprentice, you get a +1 to your will. You get a +2 to saves against magic. And you get a +2 or -2 to your alignment. Cool stuff. If you are a farmer, you get a +1 to strength. All healing effects targeting you grant a +1 additional HP. You get a +1 to your alignment good. And you get a +2 to maximum HP. Cool stuff. whole bunch of others as well. And now here showing off my 26 classes that I currently have right meow. Alchemist, Beast, Champion, Conjurer, Disciple, Dreamweaver, Enchanter, Hunter, Jester, Knight, Lamplighter, Minstrel, Occultist, Priest, Puppet Master, Ratcatcher, Red Hood, Runesmith, Scoundrel, Soldier, Spirit Caller, Swashbuckler, Tinker, Warden, Wildkin, and Witch. Something you might note is I purposely went out of my way to not reuse, D&D core classes such as fighters and wizards and things of that nature, because I wanted this to stand out on its own. And this screen right here gives you a little splash of what to expect with your class. But realistically here, looking at your class, that is what it's going to really determine what your class is all about. So let's start off with the Beast, for example. Something to note here is, as you may look here, all of the classes fit on a 2-page spread. Every single one. You go down the line here, every single class fits on a 2-page spread. And the reason I did that is because I want you to be able to quickly know exactly what you have and jot it down nice and simple. No fluff needed. Like every feature on your class there does what it does. We don't need to eat up precious space, precious time. Just you get your features, that's the end of the story. So let's look at the Beast here. The Beast is a D10 hit class. They get light armor when in human form. They are good with natural weapons, sword, dagger, axe, and club. And also something I totally failed to mention, which I totally should, going back here to the top here, ability scores. This is something very core to my game here, is all characters only have 4 stats tied to them. You have your strength, your finesse, your will, and your charm. Strength, of course, being what we know to be strength. Finesse being dexterity. Will being a combination of wisdom and intelligence. And charm being your charisma. You might note, of course, the big removal there is Constitution. I removed Constitution because I hate Constitution. I think Constitution is objectively a bad stat in the game. I think Constitution takes away from the game. I think it actually objectively makes the game worse. I think Constitution is a holdover from D&D's core roots, in that D&D's core roots were about a war game, and in that war game it made sense. But flash forward all these years later, I don't believe Constitution makes any more sense. I think it actually makes the game worse. So I removed Con. Con is gone. But while there is 4 core stats to every single character will have 6 stats in total. Those 2 additional stats that are missing from these 4 core ones are tied to your class. So when you roll up your character, you may choose to delve more into your individual class, or more choose to dive into the core aspects of it, right? So going back to Beast here, Beast has 2 class stats in the form of Primal and Instinct. And what those affect, those will affect some things throughout your class here. So what is the Beast class? The Beast class is a transformation class. At level 1, you transform parts of your body into animal features. Example, claws, fangs, legs, etc. Using Fury Points. These Fury Points last 1 turn per level. A turn is 10 minutes in the system. Plus your primal modifier, or 1, whichever you choose. So, let's say at level 1, you transform into something, and you have a 0 in your primal stat modifier. That would mean that it would last for 20 minutes. It would last the 1 turn per level, because you're level 1, but then plus the 1 from this feature here. So you transform into something, boom, it lasts for 20 minutes. But then, of course, over the course of your character's life, they become level 5. When you transform, boom, now at level 5, when you transform something, it can last for 50 minutes, nearly an hour, right? Cool stuff. So, showing off here at level 1 here, some attacks you get. Here's some transformations you get. Claws, you get 2 attacks for 1d6 each. Fangs, 1 attack for 1d10. Scales give you +3 to AC, a +2 to DR, and resistance to slashing damage. What is DR? In this system, you have DR, which is damage reduction. DR is a flat reduction of damage intake. For example, if you have 2 DR and you take 3 points of damage, you take the 3 and then subtract the 2 DR, meaning you take 1 point of damage. Very simple. And mind you, DR, it doesn't apply to everything. If you get mind blasted by something, your DR does not get... unfortunately, your thick hide has nothing to do with getting mind blasted by something. You know, is what it is. Hey, yo, haven't seen you stream in a while. I hope playtesting is going well. Another note, I was wondering if there are any benefits or penalties of to having less in alignment. No, and I will be showing off here, right here, actually, what alignment is doing for your character. So I have not been able to get this fully operational, but I will be within the next week. So at level 1 here, you get all these transformations, cool beans. At level 2, you get to add your primal modifier or 1 to melee damage rolls when in bestial shift. Add your instinct modifier or 1 to perception and awareness checks. Cool stuff. But here's the thing. At level 3, for every single class, you get an alignment feature. So Beast is a little bit more convoluted with that because there's a whole bunch of things going on. So let's move on to the champion here. The champion is the paladin of the system, in essence. So at level 3, let me zoom in here for all y'all. Does that look good? There we go. So level 3, if you are pure, you're a good boy. You donate to the church, you help the old lady across the street, you spare the bad guys, etc., etc. Then you get this as this paladin, as this champion. You get to channel radiant light to blind enemies. They have to make a heart save or be blinded for 1 round. But let's say you're a good boy. You haven't done the goodest of good things, but you're a good boy. Or maybe you were really good, but maybe you did something to knock you down a peg. You heal all allies as virtuous here. You heal all allies within 10 feet for 1d4 HP when using your healing touch effect, which at level 2, the champion here gets this healing touch feature. Which normally only affects 1 person, but if you are virtuous, then he gets to heal all allies within 10 feet. Cool. Now, if you're balanced, you're neutral, you're in the middle, you're in the gray area here. You sense the presence of creatures or objects within 30 feet aligned with any extreme alignment. You do not know their alignment. So you're an average, everyday kind of guy. And you can then, like, let's say you're at a ball with regal nobles. You know that there's some people here who are in the extremes. You know that there's someone that's either really pure or really wicked. What they are, you don't know. But hey, you can sense them. You know them. This also applies, of course, in the dungeon. You're in the dungeon. Oh, hey, there's some bad boys around the corner. You know, we haven't seen any good boys around here. There's probably some baddies around here. If you are dark, you've kind of strayed down the path. You've done some naughty deeds here and there, but you're not like the worst kind of person. You're dark. Drain an enemy's vitality, deal 1d6 necrotic damage, and recover 1 fervor. Fervor being this class's particular resource system, which, by the way, every single class also has a resource system. The beast, for example, they have primal fury. They have the fury over there, and that's what's used to cause your bestial shifts. For the champion, they use their resource for various activities that they do. And lastly, here, you're bad. You're a bad boy. You're wicked. You do the baddest of the bad stuff. Inflict despair in a 10-foot area. Heart save or suffer lower hand on attacks for 1 round. So, ultimately, every single class, depending on how you act, you could have 2 people of the same class in a campaign, and they will fundamentally operate differently. Even if they're the same archetype. Let's say you've got 2 champions in a campaign. Both of them, are melee champions, right? They're paladins in a sense. Ultimately, if you got one that's really good, oh hey, they're maybe they're blinding people. But then you get when someone is really bad, oh hey, they're debuffing the enemy in another way. Like I really like that aspect. Do you get both positives if you are pure, or is it hard locked to blinding, no extra healing? It's hard locked into the alignment. So if it's hard locked into, you are either pure, you are virtuous, you are balanced, you are dark, or you are wicked. You do not get the You do not get the catch-all benefits. I did toy around with the idea of, oh hey, if you're the extreme of the alignment, would that make you get all of the benefits before then? And I toyed around with the idea for a little bit, but ultimately the problem with that is then you would get players that would only play to the extremes, which I feel like would be counterintuitive to what I want of the system. It would be like, I could see it working if you wanted to run the game of, oh hey, you're only going to be the goodest of the good or the baddest of the bad. But I don't want to run this system like that. I want to run this system in a way where, depending on the circumstances that come up throughout the campaign, depending on your individual actions and all the various activities thereof, you're getting rewarded some way, somehow, and you're not being punished for, not going all the way to the extreme. So all these alignment features are sort of equal to each other, power scale wise. So regardless of what point amount you have in alignment, you get an awesome feature. Yes, that's what I'm aiming for. Is ultimately I'm aiming for a, oh hey, let's move on to another class here. Another one of my favorites here being the, oh man, I do like me the I think a good showcase here is the Hunter. So the Hunter at level 3 here, if you're pure, you automatically sense and track malevolent creatures within 60 feet, even if hidden. Allies gain a +1 to attacks and saves when fighting such creatures. This is another thing I really wanted to highlight with this system is every single class, to some shape or fashion, has a lot of buff the homies. I really, really, really love when a tabletop role-playing team-based system is about helping out the homies. I know that a lot of the time, a lot of features, it's very, very simple to write down I and me. I do this. Me do this. It's very easy to get those I's and me's of I do this extra damage. I do X, Y, and Z. But ultimately, I really wanted to shove in a lot of team-based narrative here, a lot of team-based buffs, a lot of team-based things, because it is so much cooler when two people team up together to beat the bad guy versus, oh, I just did it all by myself. So right there, that's a showcasing of allies gain a +1 to attacks and saves when fighting such creatures. Cool. If you're virtuous, locate lost or endangered creatures within a mile radius and provide allies with a +2 bonus to navigation checks. You're a hunter, but you got some good navigation going on. Balanced. Move at full speed while tracking prey and gain +1 to all tracking checks. You're balanced. You're just a hunter, What's up, Overlord? I am... Overboard. Lord, board, same thing. I'm showing off my TTRPG right now, and then I'll be showing off the adventures therein. Twilight Sanctuary, bless up. You are 100% right. Teamwork makes the dream work. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. So if you're dark, when stalking prey, you gain upper hand on stealth checks and deal an extra 1d6 damage to tagged creatures. You're dark. You put in the work to be all sneaky. And Fearsome Stalker, instill fear in your prey. Tagged creatures must succeed on a heart save or become frightened. Cool stuff, right? Your powers are ultimately decided by your playstyle, and I really like leaning into that. I really do. Another one of my fan favorite classes here is the Knight. I love knights in fairy tale themes and settings. I really love this Knight. This Knight very much so is at level 1. You choose an oath, and that oath affects your playstyle. If you have the Oath of Protection, you grant guard the weak, granting a +2 to AC when shielding an ally. Oath of Glory, gain a +1 to morale rolls for allies when you lead. Oath of the Righteous. Uphold virtue and honor in all actions, gaining the ability to detect lies once per day. You know, fun stuff like that. And that's just the level 1 features, mind you. Level 3 Knight, they get some cool stuff. Aegis of Light. Radiate an aura of protection, granting all allies within 20 feet a +2 bonus to AC and saving throws. Virtuous. Inspire Valor. Bolster morale in allies, granting upper hand on attack against fearsome foes. Balanced. Gain resistance to non-magical damage while standing your ground. That's a huge one right there. Like I might even have to nerf that now, just like as I more and more think about it. But I think it's still badass if you're standing your ground, you're not moving, like you get resistance to damage. I think it's cool. Dark. Channel dark energies into your strikes, dealing additional D4 necrotic damage. And Wicked. Intimidate enemies within 10 feet into submission, forcing a hard save or become frightened for 1d4 rounds. You know, like, that's badass, you know? I'm now the Overlord. I've leveled up. Are you using the greatest social interaction rule from a TTRPG, the 2d6 reaction roll? There's a combination of. So, are we going to get a sneak peek into the Beauty and the Beast inspired adventure? You will. I will be showing off that later. After I get done showing off more of the system. Yeah, so the system, I'm very much so, like, I'm writing it as, oh, hey, you know, this definitely has a lot of OSR elements in regards of, you know, dungeon crawling and procedural play. So the reaction roll is there. But also I really want to lean in on, when it comes to the social elements, I definitely want there to be, you know, I want role play to be involved there as well. Lamplighter, I love the Lamplighter. The Minstrel, I really like the Minstrel. Occultist. Alrighty. So something I failed to mention here. Let me go ahead and let me try and move myself here. Bloop. There we go. So this game, of the 26 classes, there is exactly 4 hardcore, like they are spellcasters. And something I really wanted to do is I really wanted to show off that all the spellcasters, all the hardcore spellcasters are in fact spellcasters. And they are unique. They are special. So the first one here being the Enchanter. The Enchanter is the traditional D&D wizard. They operate as the following. They get their spell slots. You prepare a number of spells, and you can cast your spells. And you, of course, when you expend your spells, you lose a spell slot. That's the end of story. But then I've got the next class here, which is the Occultist element. Yeah, Occultist. How the Occultist works as a spellcaster is they have their spell slots here. But when they go to cast a spell, they have to roll a dice. And it's not on this page, but it's on the spellcaster little thing here, which, once again, I've got hyperlinks to. Right here on this very page, in fact, the hyperlink to page 148 here. When you go to cast your spell, there is a cost. It is known as the bargain. Or the contract. The bargain was a holdover. I originally had that there. Occultist. Here we go. So when you go to roll that, you potentially cast your spell, or maybe you lose your spell. Maybe it's stronger. Maybe it fails. Maybe something bad happens to you. But ultimately, you can if you keep on succeeding on the roll, you can potentially cast more spells. Then we have the Priest. The Priest operates as a OSR cleric, in that they are hard-coded. They are hard-coded into, when you wake up and you have your spells prepared for the day, you must specify which spell is what spell slot. Like, you want your light spell to be, like, you want to cast light twice, you must prepare light twice. However, something to note here is, I have it right here on the, right above my head here, is Believer in Faith. Once per day, per level, a priest can swap any prepared spell for the Healing Touch spell. So, you don't have to lock yourself into preparing the healing spell if you don't want to, which I strongly recommend you don't, because you can swap to it. And then lastly here, the Witch. As I scroll all the way through all the other ones, I will be showing off a couple of the other ones here. The Witch uses mana points. So you prepare a number of spells, and between all of your spells, you can use your mana however you want to cast those spells. Each spell costs an individual amount of mana. So a spell might be 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana, etc., etc. So you can cast your spells however you desire with the spell or the mana that you have. I'm going to show off one more class. I'm going to show off 2 more classes here. The classes I'm really proud of. The first one here being the Soldier. The Soldier I'm really proud of because they are a fighter. Yes, man, I need this class. I love the Witch. The Witch I had a lot of fun creating here. I very much so. Once again, I made all of the spellcasters unique, and I very much so was sitting there thinking, like, man, how do I ensure that each of the spellcasters sticks out differently? They're unique, they're special, and I think I did a really good job. So, showing off here the Soldier class. The Soldier is the fighter. They are the, hands down, air quote, the classic fighter. So the classic fighter gets the following. In the system, you've only got one action you can do a turn. There is no, bonus actions and various other things. You get your action. You can move and then also do your action, but you've only got the action. The fighter, though, the Soldier, they get this Battle Discipline, which is their bonus action. So they and they alone get something that no one else gets. They can shove a foe as this bonus action. They can increase their movement speed. They can increase their AC. They can draw a sheath of weapon. They can, etc., etc. So I think that very much so is like, oh hey, the Soldier is the fighter, right? Like no one else can do what they do. They add stoutness bonus or 1 to all resolve spirit saves. They additionally recover 1 additional HP during rest. Something to note is this system is not a long rest heals all boo-boo system. This is a system where if you take damage, you will be feeling it the next day, more than likely. You've got your resources. Every single class has a resource system. Your resource system recovers over time. Your HP recovers over time. Your spells recover over time. Everything takes time to recover. It's not, oh, hey, I got eaten by T-Rex and I casted 7 of my 8 spells. I go to bed for 8 hours and I wake up the next day like nothing happened. No, if that happens, you will be forced to take a little bit of time R&R'ing. Tactical maneuver. Once per week, allow your party to reposition before combat begins. Allies move up to half their speed without triggering opportunity attacks. Once again, I think that really, really shows off the Soldier being a soldier. They're saying, oh, hey, gang, let's move up, shall we? Or let's move around. Once again, highlighting the team-based aspect of this system. Soldier of Fortune. You can choose not to have your alignment score changed upon your actions once a day. Once again, I really, really want to highlight alignment in the system. I think that very much so is fitting with the Soldier in that if the Soldier does something that maybe they see as opportunistic, which is funny because that's the next feature that they have there. They do something as, like, oh, that could be bad, but, it's beneficial. They could potentially overlook it, sort of thing. We're in the Tomb of the Nine Gods, but the Warlock used all 3 spells time to short rest. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. I very much so want a system where you keep on chugging along, and if things happen, you do have to take some time off. Okay, let's see here. So Opportunist, your critical hit range with weapons increases by 1. Boom. Once again, another thing to make the fighter stand out here is, oh, hey, everyone else has to roll a nat 20 to get a critical hit. No, you need to roll a 19 or 20. Cool stuff, right? Like, simple stuff like that, I think, really, really helps out make all these classes stand out completely on their own. Good. In 5e, I flipped the rules for hit dice recovery and hit points recovery for lost rest on its head, allowing player to recover all hit dice but no HP at all. I dig that. anything you can do to change up the toning, pace, and feel of the game is fantastic like that. Absolutely. So for the soldier here, their alignment powers are as follows. If you're pure, you grant temp area HP to allies within 10 feet equal to your level as a bonus action once per day. Once again, like I cannot stress enough how many features I have between all these classes that are about helping out the homies. You're a pure boy, you're leading the team, you're saying, go team, go, and boom, they get temp HP. Virtuous. Allies within 10 feet of you gain +1 to saves against fear or charm effects. Once again, you're leading the team, you're saying, hey gang, don't be afraid, we've got this. Balanced. Reroll 1 failed saving throw per day. Simple, right? You know, you're just you're out for yourself kind of guy. Balanced. You know, you're there for you. Dark. You get Terror Strike once per day. Add your might bonus or 1 to a melee attack's damage and force the target to make a heart save or become frightened for 1 round. You know, you're dark. You're a dark boy. You're not fun to be around, and you strike terror into people. And then lastly, Wicked. When you drop an enemy to 0 HP, you regain 1 HP. I think it's very self-explanatory there. You're wicked. You're bloodthirsty. You're doing it hard. And then actually later on, they actually get a great opportunist. So now they crit on 18, 19, and 20. Once again, I really want to showcase off the fighter being cool. Alrighty. Equipment. I've got a whole list of equipment here. Weapons. So, weapons and armors. So here is some stuff. Hold on here. I'm from Germany and want to tell you how cool I find your content. I love your Curse of Strahd videos. AC, thank you so very much. From the Deutschland. Nein sprechen Sie Deutsch, though. My German ain't as good as it once was. But it's very awesome to hear. Thank you so very much. I'm glad I could help in your Curse of Strahd endeavors. So, how armor works in the system is as follows. The light armor gives you 1 damage reduction. The medium armor gives you 2 damage reduction. And the heavy armor gives you 3 damage reduction. Very, very simple, right? You're in the front line. You take a little bit less damage. But you're getting hit more often as a result of that, right? Also, something I want to show off here is with all of these weapons. All of the weapons, they deal damage, but they also have special properties amongst themselves. As you note here, there's a crit table. Every single weapon has a potentially different crit. And every single weapon also has other symbols going on with them. So let's take a look, for example, the axe. The axe does a D8 of damage, but it says a D8 plus. What does that mean? Let's take a look here. Damage with a plus symbol allow for an additional die roll if you roll the maximum of the damage. So you go to attack someone with an axe. Boom, you hit him for 7 damage. Or you roll 7, you hit him for 7 damage. You, boom, hit another person. You roll 8 on a D8. Oh, it's an exploding D8. Let's go. You get to roll again. Cool stuff, right? And then also, we've got crit here. We've got this little number with an asterisk. What's going on with that? Critical hits with a asterisk symbol denote the increased likelihood of a critical hit. For example, a asterisk 1 means you would crit on 19 and 20. Something important to note is we're looking here, like we got the lance has a likelihood increased by 2, the sword increased by 1, the two-handed sword increased by 2. That in fact doubles up with the soldier's crit abilities. So if a soldier crits on a 19 and 20 at level 1, and then they pick up a sword, that means at level 1, using a sword, you crit on an 18, 19, or 20. Once again, making the soldier stand out, making them all special, da-da-da, etc., etc. Really, really dig it. And lastly here, the fate system. So, raise your hands if you have had a game where you showed up to the table and either yourself or your players or other players wanted to accomplish a feature over the course of a campaign. They wanted to do something other than what the campaign was designed for. Let's say, you know, like the campaign's about saving the world. Yeah, of course you're going to have to save the world. But what if you want an interpersonal goal? That is what the fate system is for. The idea behind the fate system is the following. Whereas when you look at your HP and your spells and other class features, those are things that come back regularly over the course of the campaign because, you know, you get hit, you go to sleep, you get some HP back. The idea behind these fate points is that they are a resource that is very, very infrequently given and only given for accomplishing great deeds. And with that fate, you use it to power your fate abilities. Your fate abilities are a goal to achieve. Your fate abilities are something that you're trying to accomplish. They are something that you are trying to, you know, succeed in. So let me give you an example here of some of my favorites here, as there is construction going on above me apparently. Oh boy. Let's go with I like the air a lot. The air is one of my more favorites of this bunch. Yeah, let's go with the air. I know this is very text heavy, but you'll see why it's very text heavy in a moment here. So the air, your starting ability. You gain a small retinue of loyal followers, 3 to 5 individuals, who assist you in non-combat and combat scenarios. These followers are semi-competent NPCs whose capabilities grow modestly with your level. And then you get alignment. And that's honestly why there's so much text on these things, is because depending on your alignment, your fate will change. Your fate will, you know, your fate will give off different benefits. So just quickly going off here, pure virtue, if you're a good boy, your kindness and fairness inspire unwavering loyalty. Your retinue gains upper hand on morale checks and saving throws, and they cannot be frightened while in your presence. Versus if you're a bad boy, if you're wicked here, your terrifying reputation bolsters retinue. They gain +2 to damage rolls, and any enemies who witness your retinue's brutality must succeed on a morale check or retreat. Once again, you know, like showing off your alignment matters here. Your alignment's going to be changing up the course of the campaign, the course of the way you play. Now, a milestone ability. Legacy restored. Upon reclaiming your family's legacy, either through conquest or diplomacy, you gain access to a greater resource. Once per month, you can summon reinforcements or requisition a resource such as gold, supplies, or weaponry. You know, what this right here, this mechanic of fate, is a way to highlight what you want to accomplish, and also, very importantly, for the DM to construct a campaign goal in mind of, oh, hey, they're the heir, they're trying to reclaim something. I can work with that. You know, it's a great, like, you know, tool of, hey, this is what I want, DM. You know, how do we work this out here? And lastly here, you've got a completion ability. Because throughout, you start off with, you know, your core features, and then you get a milestone ability as you accomplish your goal, and then finally get your completion ability. The completion ability for the heir is Crowned Sovereign. After achieving your ultimate destiny as the heir, you ascend as a ruler of great renown. Your retinue gains +1 to all rolls and is immune to fear effects. Gain upper hand on all charm checks during negotiations, and NPCs of lower status are resistant to defy you openly. Once per day, you may issue a command to any creature that can hear you, save against wit to resist. If successful, they must obey for up to 1 minute. And that right there is just one of the many fates that I've got in store here. As you can see, there's a lot going on. I know that the fates are incredibly text heavy, but that's purely because of my alignment, you know, system that I got going on here. If you took what your class was or took what you wanted, and just purely off of your alignment alone, it's a lot less. So I know it looks intimidating, but it's not. I promise you, and it doesn't come up that often. And lastly here, let's take a look at some spells. So every single spell level here operates as the following. There are 6 spell levels for each of the 4 core spell casters, and for each level there are 12 spells. meaning that for each individual spell caster over the course of the campaign, you will learn. You could potentially learn up to what's 12 times 6, 78. I think there's 78 spells off the top of my head for each of the classes. But you won't be using all of those, obviously, because there's a lot. There's a lot of spells. You know what I'm saying? Also, very importantly, is your alignment affects your spells. So let's showcase off some cool ones here, shall we? Let's look at the priest. Classic cleric stuff here. So if you're the priest, you cast Guiding Hand. It summons an ethereal hand to guide or hinder. If you have pure virtue, it grants a +2 in allies' next saving throw. If you are virtuous, you gain upper hand on allies' next attack roll. If you're balanced, you can stabilize a dying creature. If you're dark, you can reduce a foe's next saving throw by -2. And if you're wicked, you grant an ally upper hand, but impose lower hand on their next save. Whole bunch of variation there. Let me show off some of the witch ones. I like the witch ones a lot. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. There's a runesmith too. So the runesmith isn't like a true spellcaster. They apply spells to their weapons, but you know. Alrighty, so here's a good one. Envenomed words. Channel words infused with magic to manipulate or harm. If you are a pure and virtuous witch, charm a hostile creature for 1 minute. If you're virtuous, persuade a neutral creature to aid you for 1 turn. Balanced. Distract a foe with harsh truths, giving lower hand on attacks for 1 round. Dark. Whisper fear into target's mind, imposing -2 to resolve saves for 1 minute. And Wicked. Poison the mind, deal 1d6 psychic damage, and charm the target. So this is a great example right here of highlighting your playstyle is going to be drastically impacted by your alignment. And conversely, your alignment is going to be impacted by your playstyle. If you're a good witch, you can, help stop the fighting. If you're a bad witch, you can also help stop the fighting, but you're doing some bad things along the way. I just really, really love what I've got cooking here. I really do. I love tooting my own horn on this thing. I really, really do. So that is my system here. This is 186 pages for the core book. This is the book that tells you how to play the game. It comes with all the classes. It comes with all the spells. This is the core book. However, I'm working on a DM book, and the DM book is going to be all about how to run campaigns. It's also got magic items. I'll show off some of the magic items here. I am really, really proud of the magic item system of this system. So I will be showing that off right now, because I really need to show off how cool it is. So when I've got this magic table system, and treasure system, how treasure works in my game is as follows. Monsters in dungeons will have a number and letter associated with them for what kind of treasure they possibly give up. So G is for glittering treasure. So that's gold and gems and whatever else. W is for wondrous. Wondrous being things that aren't gems and gold but are worth money, such as tapestries and, pots and whatever the frick else. M is for magical items. You'll never guess what magical items are. And then lastly, F. F is for fabled artifacts. So the difference there being a magical item, there could be multiples of magical items, but for fabled artifacts, they are named one of a kind. There is no other thing of this in existence. Are you cooking and tooting? I'm both at the same time. So, for example, if you go up against a worthless goblin there, and they might have a G1, I need to put the average value down. I totally forgot about that. I'll work on that later. But a goblin has a 40% chance to have a goblin troop might have a 40% chance to have 1d4 times 1,000 copper pieces, 20% chance for 1d3 times 1,000 silver pieces. Simple stuff right there. And that applies for the magical, the wondrous objects and the magic items and so on and so forth. So here is where it gets buck nasty with this magic items table. Here we go. When it comes to all of the magical items, you roll for the type that you have. So like looking at the armor here. Okay, we have an armor. Let's say I roll up, 45, I get scale armor. Then I roll up for the number of enchantments. Let's say I roll a 4, boom, there's 2 enchantments on this thing. Now, what kind of enchantments do I have? I roll now 2d20. I got a protective and a narrative enchantment on this thing. And once again, I roll for a number of oddities, and boom, I rolled 4. There's 1 oddity on this thing. So let's take a look. We got a protective and a narrative. So let's take a look here. On the protective table, I roll a d12. Boom, I got a 6. Thorn Barrier. When struck in melee, attacker takes 1 damage. I wear my scale armor, and when someone attacks me, they take 1 point of damage as retaliation every time they strike me. Loser. Haha. And then also now we got a narrative power. A d8, I roll a 3. Foreshadowing. Upon waking each day, I receive a cryptic vision of coming danger. Boom, right there. You can have a lot of fun with a, oh, hey, if I know I'm going into danger here, I put this on. Hey, DM, do I get a cryptic vision of what's going on? Cool stuff. But then I also rolled an oddity, a d20. I roll an 11. Others find the wearer unusually beautiful but suspicious. So I've got this thorny armor, which lets me get a cryptic vision of the future. But a lot of people find me suspicious. This system right here that I've got for all these magical items is just, once again, I am so very happy with, because with this system, you can create, throughout the course of the no matter how many campaigns you run, you're going to be bumping into all sorts of different type of magical items. I got this breastplate, which, let's take a look at the transformation stuff. I got this breastplate, which is once per day appear terrifying for 1 turn, causing enemies to fear, causing fear in my enemies. And then I also got this nature magic, which is communicate with animals of a specific type. God, there's just so much going on with the armor here, or not just the armor. You'll see here I've got magical clothes, magical instruments. I got more later on, but once again, showing off, there is so many variations of what magical effects and items you're going to be having here. Now, the miscellaneous items. The miscellaneous items here are the ones that are unnamed. Like these are your items, which are like, the other ones, when I pick up a magical instrument, it's going to have one of these random effects. But as miscellaneous items, they are, oh, hey, it's the Crown of Nightmares. Oh, it's a Crown of Nightmares. Oh, it's a Comet Blade. Oh, it's a Dragon Slayer shield, right? Like these are the guaranteed, magical items is what it is. Got 100 of those. Magical potions also has this random effect working up here. So of course you could get your healing potions, as it were. But hey, maybe you get a potion which is laughter liquid, uncontrollable laughter for 1d4 minutes followed by euphoria, right? Magical rings, rods, staves, wands. Once again, whole bunch of randomness. Scrolls, books, maps, a whole bunch of randomness there. Trinkets. Great stuff. That'll be your things like your bracelets and tiaras and all whatever the frick else. Weapons. Oh my lord, are the weapon magics go hard on this, let me tell you. Absolutely go hard with it. So much variation, so much randomness. And lastly here, the legendary artifacts. The legendary artifacts, these are the named ones. These are the one-of-a-kind. These are the epic ones. So you get your Excaliburs, your Book of Infinite Spells, the Emperor's New Clothes, the Frog King's Crown, Genie's Lamp, Jack's Giant Killing Knife, etc., etc. The one I am the most proud of, though, is the Storybook of Many Pages, which is totally not the Deck of Many Things. It totally isn't, I swear. I swear it's not. I'm probably going to have 50 of those, still working on that. And of course, I'm going to be formatting all of this. This is not the finished product by any means. I'm going to have art for all of this. It's going to be a grand old time. This is just to get me started here. So I got all that. Whole bunch of great stuff there. Pretty proud of it. And for all the art that you see, so Sword with the Stone, exactly. And for all this art that I have, this is all public domain art that I've grabbed. It's gonna be placeholder for now, but eventually I do want to get an artist to absolutely make art that is beautiful for my stuff here. And lastly, here to show off Slay the Beast, an epic adventure. A castle, a curse, and a drive for adventure sparks the players into a fairy tale adventure of a lifetime. So this is still a rough work in progress here. But here is the synopsis. Your players are in a town, and now, so to give you the hook here, this is the I've got a whole bunch written up for this. This is not formatted at all. This is still very much so a work in progress here. Here's the initial hook. The sun hangs low over the town square of Bellfleur as townspeople go about their evening routines. The peaceful scene is suddenly interrupted by commotion near the town's eastern gate. A woman, her clothes travel-worn and her eyes wild with excitement, burst into the square. "There's a castle," she exclaims, drawing curious onlookers. "Just beyond the forest road. I've traveled these paths for 20 years, but I've never seen it before. The gates are wrought with roses of iron and gold, and the towers," she catches her breath, hands trembling, "the towers seem to touch the clouds themselves." The gathering crowd whispers among themselves. Some dismiss her as addled by travel, while others lean in, hungry for more details. The woman continues, her voice dropping to an urgent whisper. "And there's something else. Through the windows I saw movement, shapes that shouldn't be, and music, but not like any I've ever heard before." The local guards try to calm the growing crowd, but the damage is done. The tale of a mysterious castle appearing as if by magic spreads throughout Bellfleur like wildfire. For our adventurers in town, such a mystery begs investigation. So that's like the core group hook of this campaign, but I have a whole bunch of alternative hooks that I'm working up here. I've got individual hooks. I've got group hooks. The first one here is the group hooks, and then the second portion here would be singular hooks to drive in everyone here. But here's the synopsis of the adventure. You have a group that is in the town of Bellfleur, and apparently not too far away from the town of Bellfleur is a castle. And it turns out that castle is filled with all sorts of monsters and magic and mayhem. Oh my. And it's up to your players to help plunder the place and have a fun, epic adventure therein in the castle. So we've got the castle. There's a whole bunch of areas for the town of Bellfleur. I've got 44 places written down so far, but I'm going to be adding more. I'm going to have a big old section on the people of Bellfleur. So there's going to be a whole gazetteer basically on the town itself. There's going to be town events throughout the year. Got carousing. There's rival adventuring parties that are also trying to plunder the castle to give your players a sense of drive and purpose. Henchmen. You want to hire some henchmen. They can have a whole bunch of cool things going on with them, like, oh hey, they've got a quirk. They have a fear of dogs. They're always whittling. Loves to draw. Loves to cook. Is a dog, etc., etc. I've got this calendar here. I have nowhere close to done formatting this thing yet. But one thing I'm always now stressing with all my campaigns that I run now is I roll up your character rolls up for their birthday. And that gives you a little something here, like, oh, hey, if you were born on the full moon of Firelight, you gain resistance to fire damage for 10 minutes once per week, You were born on the waxing moon of Snowvale. You gain a +1 to dexterity saves against slipping or losing balance on icy slick surfaces. Cool stuff. Also, I totally failed to mention this. For this adventure, I'm writing it for both 5e, Old School Essentials, and my own tabletop role-playing game system. So I'm writing it for like three, like I'm gonna have 3 separate documents for this whole adventure. It's awesome. My character is already an unbeliever out to prove the lady is crazy. There you go. There you go, right? The surrounding lands, so I'm going to expand upon this a bit more, but you're not just in this, you're obviously in a tiny town, a quiet village every day like the day before, and I've watched Beauty and the Beast multiple times as I've like prepared and written for this. It's been fantastic. But a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and the castle itself. So there is a lot going on with the castle. One of the things I'm really, really proud of with this adventure is there's this whole the beast anger condition. That's ambitious. So thankfully, Old School Essentials is not terribly dissimilar from my own TTRPG system. So like there'll be some verbiage that needs to be changed, but for the most part, like the Old School Essentials and Make Believe will be relatively easy to do. But for 5e, obviously, it's going to be its own separate thing, for sure. When can I buy it? When I get done making it. Have I mapped out anything yet? I have. So that's the thing, is the mapping it is honestly, I'm going to have to hire a cartographer to do all the mapping, because I really want this thing to look pretty. I've got some like rough sketches, but here's what I'll tell you, is I do have over 400 rooms written down here. As I show off here a little bit, like castle layout and all this, I've got a lot of rooms. A lot. There's a whole bunch of different dungeon zones, and each zone has its own little fun things going on. And, there's just a lot going on. A lot of rooms, a lot of mini bosses, a lot of traps, and also very importantly, there's a lot of magical items. So yeah, in this document, I don't have any of the maps written, or I don't have any maps written or pasted into this PDF yet, but it will at some point. Is it going to be for the new rules or the 14 rules or both? So ultimately, Ultimately, I was leaning toward for 5e rules, not 5e.24 rules. I was leaning toward that. I don't like. I'll have to poll everyone to figure out like what everyone wants. But ultimately, I was probably just leaning toward classic 5e, not 5e premium. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of different dungeon zones here. So not only is the castle part of the dungeon, but there's also the castle grounds. There's a whole bunch of like mini dungeons around the castle grounds as well, like the outside cemetery, for example. So I got a whole bunch listed here. It's going to be a huge, huge adventure. Let me showcase off here some of the stuff. Here we go. Something that's also interesting about the castle is the castle, whenever you show up to the castle, it'll be an extreme version of the season that is random. So, for example, you can start your campaign in the middle of summer, but you show up to the castle, and this castle grounds is essentially encapsulated in a sort of like a demi-plane, as it were. So it could be you show up, like your campaign starts in summer, but then you show up and it's the middle of winter on the castle grounds, and the place is all blizzardy. But then you show up once again, like a week later after you get done resting up, and then it could be summer, and then it's a sweltering heat, and so on and so forth. Is it going to be? It looks awesome. Thank you. Are you going to crowdfund it? I will. Absolutely. As a reminder, it's just been a solo project of me doing all of the writing and doing all the formatting. However, I need an artist. I need cartographers. I need that stuff because I'm not an artist and I need art. And you can only sell products if you have art. That's just the bottom line of it. 5e. Divided. I asked because I've been doing something similar, and then the new rules dropped. I have players wanting to use the new rules with it, just an issue I've run into. I, I'm torn because I don't know how many people have moved on to the new rules. I don't know how many people are willing to convert. Like if they run the new rules, how many people are willing to convert older rules to newer rules? I don't know. If you like, throw me one of the near town locations like the cemetery. I'll map it for fun over the summer. Might have to. I'll have to. Once again, I'm still like having to write some stuff here and format everything, but I certainly will be trying to do that. So for the old school essentials version, I'm going to be having new classes. For the make believe version, I'm going to be having new classes, and then for the 5e version, there's going to be new subclasses. Currently, you're looking at the old school essentials version of this PDF, so I can't show off any of my new 5e subclasses. But for the 5e one, I'm going to have 3 subclasses per class. Because in dealing with make-believe and fairy tale and things of that nature, I really want to dive in on the rule of 3. So for 5e, there's going to be 3 new subclasses. Let me pull up my thing here to show off what I've got going on with that. Boom, boom, boom. My Word document for this project, by the way, is nearing 200,000 words. I have written a lot. For those of you that don't know, on average, there is 500 words a page. So if that gives you any indication of what 187,000 words is, it's a lot. Alrighty, so showing off here, for the fighter, we have things like the Musketeer subclass. We've got Path of the Cursed Beast for Barbarian. We've got Oath of the Gentleheart for Paladin. Courtly Spy Rogue subclass. We've got the Enchantress Warlock subclass. The Heart of the Wild Warlock subclass. The what are the ones we got here? Cursed Guardian Fighter subclass, Courtly Blade, etc. It goes on and on. I got a bejesus ton of those. I could help you there. Maps did beta testing for Incarnate. I'm fairly proficient. Heck yeah. How does one find a good artist? I assume either through word of mouth and or through I'm trying to forget I'm trying to remember the there's a map not map there's a I think it's Fiverr. There's some website where you can try and hire artists and whatnot. I'll have to be doing that in the future. Alrighty, so these are classes for old school essentials, scholar, trader, etc. There's gonna be new spells. So new spells for all of the for both old school and 5e. Once again, this is the 5e. This is the old school PDF we're looking at it here because I've not updated the 5e one yet. New monsters. There's going to be a bejesus ton of monsters. Treasure. Here's another thing I'm really, really happy about. Once again, this thing has not been edited at all here. I am really proud of the new magical items here because there's 2 core major new magical item types. There is magical makeup and magical wigs. So magical makeup is something you apply and it gives you power for as long as it's on, but it goes off after the day. But then magical wigs are something you have to wear, which obviously looks totally awesome and badass. And then, of course, you get a magical power from it. So let's take a look here. The Duchess Maria's Morning Curl. A perfectly coiffed, powdered white wig with delicate ringlets and small pearls woven throughout. When worn, the wig grants the ability to cast sleep once per day, and the wearer always appears freshly groomed regardless of conditions. Lord Beaumont's Distinguished Grey. A distinguished gentleman's wig of silver gray hair tied back with a black ribbon. Grants 2+2 bonus to all charisma checks when dealing with nobility or merchants. Once per day, the wearer can cast Command. Lady Whisper wins Moonlit Waves. A flowing silver white wig with gentle waves that seem to catch moonlight even indoors. Grants the ability to cast Misty Step once per day and advantage on stealth checks in dim light or darkness. You know, just like, I'm so happy with, you know, a magical makeup and a magical wig system. Because throughout this adventure, this is a level 1 through 9 adventure, level 1 through 10 maybe. And the idea is, you know, as your characters are getting all these new magical items, you know, magical makeup, magical wigs, magical clothes, etc., you know, eventually they start looking like pompous nobility as they're running around, right? Which I think is totally hilarious. Like, how awesome is it to be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm wearing, you know, the jealous hairpiece, right? A beautiful chocolate brown wig with perfect waves and golden threads. You know, like, that adds so much flair to characters as they're going around and wearing different wigs for different days to get different powers, right? Like, that's so much fun. Whole bunch more random tables. I'm gonna have a whole bunch more crap, but ultimately, yeah, there's a lot going on with this adventure in regards of, we've got the town, and also something I totally failed to mention about the town here is the town is going to level up over the course of time. So the idea is as adventurers plunder the castle, and mind you, it's not just going to the dungeon one time and that's the end of the story. No. You're going to go to the dungeon, you're going to loot the place, and eventually you're going to be beaten back. You've got to go back to town, repeat process, right? And over the course of time, as players earn more gold and bring more gold back to town, people are going to be attracted to the town. So more people are going to start showing up to the town, and businesses are going to start being created. Let me see if I've got any on this first page here. Yeah, the Cursed Crown. And it's an adventurous tab that opens up after 30,000 gold is retrieved from the castle. You know, it'll bring more liveliness. It'll make the, you know, campaign feel alive as the town is evolving. What style do you want the art to depict? Cartoon, grim, high fantasy, Lord of the Rings? I'm leaning toward more... I honestly would have to sit there and like mind you, I'm not an artist at all, so I don't know, like, you know, like if the right verbiage of what I would want right this millisecond. But ultimately, I would want it to be something maybe close to maybe a cartoony Grimm, if that's. Once again, I don't know if I'm saying the right verbiage here, but I'd want it to be reflective of the environment. I'd want it to be, you know, I want to show off the fairy tale aspect of this adventure, in that this adventure, of course, is Beauty and the Beast, right? So yeah, this is currently, you know, it's still got a bit of writing to do. I'm gonna have to do a lot of formatting. I'm gonna have to clean up a bunch of things. But yeah, ultimately, the synopsis here is we've got a town with dozens of named NPCs and personalities, with dozens of buildings. We've got a castle with over 400 rooms, both the castle and the castle grounds, all the dungeons they're in. We've got, you know, an overarching plot of, oh, hey, you know, it's not just going in, killing everybody. You know, you can explore more of the castle in a more exploratory way. There's a lot going on with it. I'm not doing the best at selling it right now, but I'm definitely trying to do that. Nightmare Christmas style? I wouldn't do claymation, that's for sure. But yeah, maybe something along those lines. Maybe I would probably like wanna. I want to shop around before I start commissioning art, of course, before I start, you know, doing all that. But yeah, there's a lot going on here, for sure. And yeah, this. So when I go to kickstart this thing, what I'm gonna kickstart as is you get to choose. Do you want the 5e version? Do you want the old school version? Do you want my system's version? Actually, I don't know if my system is going to come out before this. I'm probably going to release this first and then my system. I don't know yet. I still have to figure all the logistics out on my system releasing. Damn. But ultimately, when I go to kickstart this thing, you get to choose what version you want. And also something to note is I'm going to be releasing it as one big PDF, but also broken up sections as well. So right now, this old school edition, because this is the old school essentials PDF we're looking at here. This one is 355 pages. Mind you, of those 355 pages, there is, some bloat. We got some blank pages here and there and everywhere. And I haven't formatted everything. And of course, I haven't added the art. But my speculation is once I complete the old school edition, the old school essentials version, the PDF itself might be close, or, the product itself might be close to 400 pages, right? And that's just the old school essentials version. The 5e version would undoubtedly be longer, purely because monster stat blocks take up more space on the screen. I'm probably going to not have everything when I do my 5e version. I'm probably not going to have the monster stat blocks be the classic chunky 5e stat blocks that we all know. I'm probably going to reduce them down a bit because I think 5e stat blocks are just egregiously big. But even still, 5e. Whenever you look at 5e in the converted adventures from other systems, they're always just bigger. 5e requires a bit more verbiage, not just through the monsters, but also through spells and saving throws and the subclasses and etc. etc. All of those are going to take up quite a bit of space. So I imagine that if my old school essentials version is going to be close to 400 pages, then my 5e version might be even 450 pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release, you can have a big thing. You can just have the big package. Or what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be releasing them in more bite-sized pieces. So one PDF or book will be all about the town in the surrounding lands. And then one would be all about the dungeon. And then one would be all about the monsters and treasures. And ultimately, if I do it that way, I think that's a little bit more able to, you're able to, not have to scroll through as much. Once again, every one of my products ever will always be super duper hyperlinked all over the place. So you never have to worry about a PDF being too big because you can always just, hyperlink all over the place. Just click on a button on anywhere on the page and go back to where you need to go. But even still, even if for the physical version having the town, one book being the town, one book being the castle, and then one book being the the treasure, the monsters, and etc. etc. I think that would be a good way to go. So you can pick and choose which one you want. Oh. But yeah, that's currently what I've got to show off now. Once again, I'm very, very proud of my TTRPG. Very, very. My TTRPG is the core book itself is 99% complete. There's probably a few more things I'd want to do. Of course, I want to commission art for it at some point. The DM's book, it's got a long way to go. But the monster book's gonna be relatively simple for that because it's just I'm slapping in a bunch of monsters. So I haven't even bothered putting that in PDF form yet because it'll be really, really simple. Just slap it all in and bada bing, bada boom. Nothing too crazy about that. But my adventure, I think, is going to be the big money ticket to getting my the No Fun Allowed Corporation underway. I want to pump this out, and then I also want to pump out all my other smaller adventures that I got going on, because in addition to this big old monstrous adventure I've got, which is going to be once again 400 to 450 pages or whatever, I've also got a whole bunch of 20 to 40 page adventures as well. So I'll be releasing that. 3-book set with a slipcover. I would like to. Ultimately, though, I haven't even bothered talking to a publisher yet because I'm nowhere close, right? Also, I'm very poor, and as of right now, it is very, very tumultuous to get books made because of the whole tariff thing and a lot of publishers and whatnot. It's very tumultuous. And the thing that really sucks is to get books published in the U.S., you have to have a commitment of, like, basically a publisher would be like, okay, we'll make this, but the smallest amount we'll make is 1,000, right? And like, but then they'll be like, oh, hey, if you actually sell 2,000, we'll give you a % discount. And so you have to have a lot of money. You have to, and more importantly, you also have to be able to sell it. So I gotta make this product and know I'll be able to sell it. It's a big expenditure. It's a big investment, and it is months, if not years, of work to get in people's hands. It's a lot. It's a lot. That's why, of course, a lot of people, do a lot of their production over in China or in other European countries. And then because somehow, some way, it is cheaper to get something made all the way over there and then shipped all the way over here and then delivered to individual people's houses than it is to, make it here. It's friggin' ridiculous. Frickin' ridiculous. So yeah, I'm I've been working on that slowly but surely. It's and hopefully I'll be able to make some YouTube videos soon and get back on the content grind, because I want to get this adventure into the hands of the people. I want to get my TTRPG into the hands of the people, and we'll see where it goes from there. Now, honestly, like the biggest issue, I'm like as I'm writing it, like it's all well and good to write this adventure and do all that, but honestly, the big thing for me is just the hurdle of when I go to kickstart this thing. Like, before then, I would need art. And art is hella expensive and takes a long time. And currently, right now, I don't have any money because I'm poor. I'm darn near homeless, honestly. But hopefully, I can scrounge something up soon. Maybe I'll win the lottery. Who knows? Maybe I'll get hit by a truck and get some hush money. We'll see. But honestly, that's going to be the biggest hurdle to get my project started, is the initial investment. It's going to be tough, but I got to do it. Is this? I was about to say, like, I feel like they should be aligned the same, shouldn't they? Yeah, they are. I don't even have the table of contents for my storyteller's tome. Oh my goodness. $5. Putting a little towards my tariff now. Oh, I heard Trump just made a deal with China. We'll see. Thank you so very much, Overboard. Thank you so very much. That keeps me homeless keeps me away from homelessness for one more day. Thank you so very much. We'll see. I might have overheard it, but has playtesting the system gone well, or haven't you started just yet? I've done a little bit. I'm going to be doing a lot more though. In the coming days, I'll know my schedule, and I'll start running some games through my Discord within the coming weeks. Not only playtesting my adventures, but also my system, and doing all that. So stay tuned for that. I'll be showing it off on the YouTube, but I'll be doing it through all my Discords. So I'll be doing that. Also, I do have the character sheet. This is once again I'm gonna have I'm gonna have God dang, there's so much like art and creative crap that needs to be done that I don't know that I can't do on my own. But here is the functioning character sheet. This is literally like this is form fillable. You can do this now. But when I go to make my system, I'm gonna obviously have a nice, pretty one made up. And also for the Slay the Beast adventure, I will be having custom made character sheets made for those for 5e and old school and whatnot for people to really delve into and feel like they're playing that adventure. But it's been a little while since I've done this. I do want to go through the process of character creation. So let me load up a little something here. Let me load up a little something so I can showcase off making characters in the system. If you need a job, might be able to help. It's Southern Alabama, though. That's a drive and a half for me because I am in California. So, not quite feasible. It would take a little bit of time, and unfortunately, I am locked here. I cannot leave for various family and other various purposes. Alrighty, let me try and set up this here. Where is, okay. Let's make that roll 20. Here we go. Alrighty. Let's just quickly highlight here making a character in Make Believe. When creating a character for Make Believe, follow the guideline below. The combination of all the elements of character creation helps paint the picture of what the character is. However, it is the player that brings that picture to life. Alternatively, you may leave your fate up to the dice with each roll choosing your character for you. The details are listed on page 48, which I will be doing for this little demonstration here. Step 1, roll for stats. Roll 3d6 for each of your ability scores, strength, finesse, will, and charm. Additionally, roll for the 2 unassigned stats you earn through your class. What stats are and what they affect are found on page 14. Once again, all of those little on-page whatevers are all hyperlinked. And then I've got little optional rules here. 46 drop the lowest, 3d6 7 times, etc., etc. I'm gonna have like a little bit more here and there and everywhere, but it is what it is. So let's do it. Let's roll 3d6 down the line as I whoop. Here we go. I'll move me as well. Out of the way, me. Do I have the... I feel like I had it on this. Did I? No. I've got an algorithm for rolling 3d6 6 times quickly. I love character creation for Traveler RPG. It's actually fun. And for a Traveler RPG, like, man, you can die in character creation. It's hilarious. Not the newest edition, but in the original one. 3d6. Let's do it. So I'm going to be rolling these down the line here because I love rolling classic down the line here. So for down the line stats, That is going to be strength, finesse, will, charm, and then our 2 unaligned stats here. So let's kick it. We've got 7 strength, 12 finesse. Damn, 15, 14, 11, and 11. Okay, we've got a character. We probably don't have a soldier on our hands, but we've got a character. We've got 7, 12, 15, 14, 11, 11. Got it. We got 7. What did I just say? It was 7, 12, 15, 14, 11, and 11. I would love to join in on the playtesting, but I'm unable to find the time to learn a new system. But it could be awesome if you plan on doing some of the 5e playtesting over the summer. It's almost 2 a.m., so I'm heading off. I'll keep an eye out from the Discord. Absolutely. I will say this system is simpler than 5e. I mean, it's literally just 5e, but a lot of some of the complexity shaved down, if that's any consolation. But there you go. Take it easy. Alrighty, so with that, we've got our stats. Then next up, track alignment. All characters' alignment starts with a score of 0. Also, I'm kind of walking away. There we go. As you choose your origin and background, your alignment score will potentially rise or fall. A positive alignment direction indicates a path of virtue, while a negative alignment direction represents a path of wickedness. An overview of alignment can be found on page 16. Fair enough. I have it going to you too. So, parts 3 are choose an origin, choose a background, choose a class, and choose a fate. I am going to opt to roll for those. So let's check all that out, shall we? So the first one is an origin. Let's roll them bones. Nope, wrong one. The first one is 57. 57 gets us a human. We're smack dab in the middle. Human is the most likely outcome when you're rolling on this table because it does bank up 53 to 72, which is, you're more likely to roll that than anything else amongst all these because a lot of them are just either 1s and 2s or 2s and 5s and whatever. So we get a human. So we are a human. And that means we get a +1 to 2 of our core stats here. I am going to... let's go back to stats and what they mean here. Because let's see if we can bump ourselves up to anything good. Is a D20 roll over or under like Dragonbane? It is D20 roll over. D20 you're adding pretty much at all times. So if we go from a 7 to an 8, that's not really affecting us at all, so I don't really care. We're not a strength-based character. A finesse score of 13 would bump us up a bracket, which would be good. It would give us an AC and all that fun jazz, so I'm probably going to do that. And then a charm. Oh, man. Do I... Yeah, so I'm going to bump up our finesse is going to go to 13. And our charm is going up to a 15. Boom. Now, next up, we are going to be rolling for our background. What is our background? Let's roll a D100. 65. 65 gives us a... We were a messenger. What does messenger give us? Backgrounds. Here we go. HIJKLMN Messenger gives us a +1 to finesse, and also a +1 to alignment. Oh, and I should have marked that down. I totally skipped over the whole human thing here. We got the +1 to 2 stats. We get a +1 to maximum health, so we should mark that down on our character here. Where's our HP? We're gonna have 1 from that, from human, and then we get versatile. I'll copy that down on a character here. Once per week, reroll. Okay, that's that. And then messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. +1 to finesse, which bumps us up to 14 finesse. Unless I was already at 11. No, wait, no, 12. No, I was 12, so yeah, we're there. That gives us a +1 alignment of good and a +1 to HP. So we mark that down as 2. And then alignment +1. There is an issue with, I think, a recent update where like it makes these invisible when you're not clicking on them, which is really dumb. Oh well, I'll deal with that later. These character sheets are not by any means even close to the finished product here. This is just purely for whatever. And then we gain upper hand on navigation for being a messenger. Okay. Alrighty. Then next up for our character. Next up, we could roll for our class to get an extra fate point because every time your character starts off with more fate points depending on if they roll for it. To give you an example of that, you start off with 1d4 plus your will modifier for fate points. But if you roll for every aspect of your character, then you get more fate points. So we already got 2 fate points for rolling our origin and background there. But I'm not going to roll for the class because I think... actually, you know, I'll roll for the class. Screw it. I don't care. I'm not making this character for anything. Probably not anyway. What class do we get? 29. 29 gives us which class? We're a jester. Okay, we're a jester. Let's take a look at what jester is as a class. Jester is a D8 class that gets access to the following. Light armor, they can use buckler shields. The weapons they can use are dagger, short sword, sword, torch, and whip. Their class stats are repartee and moxie. And at level 1, you gain proficiency with improvised weapons and can use them seemingly mundane items to distract foes, giving them a -2 to rolls if they fail a wit save. And at level 1, whenever you roll a natural 1 on any roll, you can spend a trick token to re-roll and potentially turn failure into hilarity or success. Which this class starts off with 1 trick token each level. That would make us a jester. Okay. Background messenger, class jester. And now roll a d4 for how much plus will. What's my will modifier, actually? Didn't do my will mod. We got a 15, which gives us a plus what? Ability scores. A 15 in a score would give you plus 2, so I get a d4 plus 2. Got that. 1d4 plus 2. But then really I've got another additional plus 3, so I got 5. Okay, so I start off with 6 fate points. Yippee. Fate 6. Actually, I'm going to start off with 7 because I'm going to roll for what fate I have too. So I forgot about that. So what fate do I get? Character creation. Got a D100 for a fate as well. Let's try it out. 1D100. Our Jester has the fate of 47 gives us the fate of the air. Hey, that's my favorite one. When you know, the Jester is the air. And look at that, just like that. Practically got a character done. I could go through the process of doing all this, but you know, you start off with the max of your HP, so that would mean our character would have 10 HP to start off with. The character is a Jester, and that's where you get the majority of your bulk here. So as we can see here, the Jester starts off with a +0 to attack. Yippee-ki-yay. They get 1 class resource. And then a whole bunch of other things. We could go through, oh, hey, their saving throws. They have an 11 to a heart, a 12 to fortune, 13 resolve, 12 wit, and 16 spirit. They've got their features I mentioned before. They don't have any spells, screw them. And then the rest would just be to roll up their items and hopefully give them something good. The Jester levels up relatively quickly. They only need 1800 XP to level up. And then, oh yeah, we got to roll for their moon sign. That would give them something fun. Let's take a look at birth signs, shall we? So if I rolled, you can get something fun, like once per day you can run at double speed for 1 minute. Once per day you create a small area of pristine snow. +1 to checks made in cold environments. +1 to charm checks when dealing with natural creatures or fae. You know, a whole bunch of random good stuff there. But other than that, I will be, once I go to highlight this game more, I'm going to be showing off how to actually make the character in more robust detail and make it exciting and fun and whatnot. But, you know, just a quick little highlight there of what this making character is. Super simple, super quick, super easy. So, there we go. I showed off my TTRPG Player's Handbook, which is the Player's Tome. I'm not calling them books, I'm calling them tomes. So we've got the Player's Tome, the Storyteller's Tome, the Storyteller being the DM, because I don't want to use DM and get into litigation with Wizards of the Coast. In this system, you are a storyteller, not a DM. Yeah, I also have an abbreviation of, you can be a GM as well, a game master, because game master is universal. DM is specifically tied to Dungeons and Dragons. And then I'll be working on a monster thing as well. But once again, the monster manuals are relatively easy to make. And let's be honest here, you're just slapping in monsters, easy peasy. Then, of course, I showed off my good old adventure Slay the Beast. Got a lot going on with that. Fun adventure, big castle, big hopes, big dreams, monster to fight, town to cavort in, etc., etc. Gonna have a lot of fun running this one. Got a lot of things going on here, and my schedule is finally freeing up after so much time. I will be busy, I know, for like the next 2 weeks for sure, but after that, I hopefully should be freeing up. Hopefully, as long as nothing, monstrous happens. Which, let's knock on wood here. Ah. So with that, yeah, I mean, I've showed off all my fun little projects I've been working on. I got to give a little highlight of what's been going on. I need to work on this table of contents for the players. Tell them been so lackadaisical with it. Got a lot more to add too. But I'm just so proud of my magical item system. I really am. This magical, like, just taking this magic item table and using it for anything else is just like I'm gonna be using this magic table for ages to come because there's just so much like sheer variety. God dang, just so much sheer variety. So happy with this. Look at that, like magical clothes. Like, come on, like you get magical clothes. You got all these different little tables it could be from. Hopefully not near LA. No, I am not near LA. I do not have to deal with the protests and riots and military. Oh my! Thankfully, I do not have to worry about businesses burning down right across my house or my house getting tagged up and all that. I do not have to worry about all that. Thankfully, it's I'll tell you what. It's definitely the LA stuff going on right now has been a real clown fiesta for a lot of people. It really sucks. Hopefully hopefully it winds down soon here. But yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna be chugging away at this. I'll be running games through my Discord, showing off the grand old times there, and looking forward to seeing what everyone's gonna be working on in the near future. But I think that's gonna do it for me for now. Got to show off my stuff. Can't wait to get into the hands of people to play some games and have a grand old time there. But that's gonna do it for me. I'll be sticking around for 2 more minutes to listen to any gripes, moans, complaints, general observations, and anything thereof, and then I will skedaddle. Yeah, now I am like wondering, like, man, should I make 5e content like for 5.24 edition? Like, I don't know how many people have moved on to the newer edition. I don't know how many people like the newer edition versus 5e. Like, I need to get a hold on the market for that for sure. I'll have to talk to all my other content creator contemporaries there. I've got honestly no semblance of what's going on with that. Oh, man. It's amazing how, like, time flew by. I haven't been able to, like, do anything for the past, like, 4 months or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I look and you know, with all my writing I've been doing, I've written over, like, 200,000 words between my adventures and my TTRPG. I've written so much for this. It's been a grind, but like it's easy to like sit down for like a couple of minutes and then just write a bunch and then, you know, walk away, do something else, and come back to it later. Like it's amazing how easy writing is for me, but I cannot do art at all. I don't I couldn't draw anything better than a smiley face on a sheet, you know. So the art is honestly going to be the big money ticket in order to get these things flying. Because unfortunately, Kickstarter only. I promise you, if you got two products that are literally exactly the same, that released at the exact same time, and one of them had good art and one of them didn't, the one with good art's gonna sell. That's just the nature of our world. Alrighty, well, that is gonna wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Trying to hop back into YouTube mode once again. Well, I know I'll be busy for the next like 2 weeks, but after that, I think I should be solid. I'll be trying to run some games through Discord, playtesting all throughout, having a grand old time. But that is gonna do it for me. And thank you so much for the dono. Absolutely means the world to me. That $5 does go a long way, I promise you. And I'll catch you all in the future. See ya!